members of the press to our February OCM, our first formal meeting of this year. I'd like to begin by acknowledging the Whadjuk Noongar people as the traditional custodians of the land where we're meeting this evening and pay respects to their elders past, present and emerging. I'd like to direct attention to the disclaimer on the inside of the agenda pack and also to the rules of procedure that govern how these meetings are run, and they can be found on the town's website under our local laws tab. So I have no announcements. Without discussion, I'll move to public question time. And yes, public question time, Mr. Stephen Mellor.
Good evening, Council, members of the administration, the public and the media. My name is Stephen Mellor. I'm asking my questions tonight as an independent ratepayer. I live in Graham Court. Question 1, Rewalga Stage 2 electricity sales. I did appreciate the responses I received by email to the questions I asked at last week's forum meeting. I do hope councillors have, as promised, the appropriate information on comparative cost options in considering the Stage 2 electricity sales. In spite of my exchange of emails last week, I was surprised that the agenda papers under this item do not include the list and titles of the documents supplied to councillors, whether confidential or not. Is this omission justified, and is it in compliance with the regulations? Question 2, Customer Service Charter. At the forum meeting, I heard Councillor Irvine ask more information on the CRM's information that were in the CEO quarterly report and cross-reference the Customer Service Charter that has desired response times. This led me to look for that charter when I got home. Reading the target response times made me wonder why the regulation allowed time for written responses to OCM public questions do not match the charter. I asked because I had to wait for 2 months because of the Christmas period for responses to my December questions. Should not my questions emails, which I always send afterwards, have been responded to within the charter time frame, regardless of the statutory requirements? Do I need to email twice? Question 3, appointment of the presiding member CEO Recruitment Advisory Committee. If candidate F, as noted in the attachments, has already been recommended by the recruitment committee, what is the rationale for including this item in the agenda after the event? Question 4, I refer to page 256 of the attachments, the pylon restoration appeal. The council redefines the pylon resolution from previous. As the foreshore master plan is so far off from being implemented, that I have heard from swimmers, I don't swim, that the west side of the pylon is in poor repair. Will Council immediately commit to undertake restoration works to ensure the historic pylon is saved before it collapses, and use whatever held over donation funds as may remain and not allocate these to the foreshore master plan, and allocate additional emergency funding for the works? Question 5, I refer to page 185 of the council plan update within the CEO quarterly report. Progress on the foreshore master plan, including Car Park 2 revisioning. As you know, Car Park 2 is a great point of interest for me. The report says elements have been appointed for the works and ongoing discussions are occurring with state government and progress reported on a monthly basis to council. My question: what is the scope and duration of the element contract? When was it approved by council? And where are these monthly reports available for public review? Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mellor. Before the CEO answers the questions, I'm going to actually break with our normal process. And Mr. Mellor, we have a young woman with a young family here for public statement time, and she has to leave because she needs to get away. I presume that's Ms Grist. So if you want to make your statements, and then Mr Mellor, I trust that you'll indulge us and we'll go back to... thank you. So Ms Grist, if you could. Thanks.
My name's Alana Grist. Thank you for your time today and for listening to me. I'm a local ratepayer. I grew up in Cottesloe. My family still lives in the area, and I just wanted to represent a view of some of the young families that live in the area. I'm really supportive of the events that bring together the community, and I want to support Electric Island going ahead as a 3-day event next year. Last year I attended with my husband and my parents, who are 70 years old and live in John Street, and we all enjoyed it. It was amazing to see so many neighbours out on the street of all different ages. The next night I went with my 4-year-old and 5-year-old at the time, and we stayed dancing until the night fell, and we were there with about 10 Northcote primary school families, and for weeks after, everyone was saying what a great event it was and how special to have such a beautiful natural beauty like Cottesloe Beach. I don't know if you remember, but the weather was 35 degrees, sunset was amazing, and it was just full of vibrancy and life and what I think Cottesloe could be. I'm not saying we should have events like this every day, but it's so special to have something like this that really does bring a community together. There was fireworks, there was just people from everywhere, of all ages, enjoying it, and I think it's really important to represent maybe some of the younger families who are very pro having some of these events in Cottesloe that bring the community together. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ms Grist. Thank you. So, Mr Mellor, thank you for your indulgence there, and I'll ask the CEO to address your questions.
In regards to the first question, which relates to the Walga Energy Sustainability and Renewable Project, Stage 2 electricity sales, the requirements of Clause 6.15, subsection 1, subsection A, have been misinterpreted. The Clause 16.15.1.A of the Town of Cottesloe Local Government Meeting Procedure Local Law states, information withheld by the CEO for the public under Regulation 14.2 of the regulations or Regulation 12 of the Local Government Model Code of Conduct regulations is to be identified in the agenda of the council meeting under the items matters for which the meeting may be closed. It does not require that all documents associated with a report recommended for confidential consideration to be listed in the agenda. The agenda complies with statutory requirements by appropriately identifying items, i.e. reports, to be considered behind closed doors. In regards to question 2, customer service charter. The initial response in regards to the questions raised at the council meeting were either answered by either responding to the questions directly or confirming that they would be taken on notice. Hence, a reply has been given. However, Clause 6.7, subsection 5 of the Town of Cottesloe Local Government Meeting Procedure Local Law 2020 states that a member of public who provides written questions will have these questions prioritised for response. However, this applies to questions received prior to or at the council meeting. In this instance, the written questions were received after the meeting, and therefore the requirement does not apply. Further, the provision is intended to ensure that members of the public who submit questions ahead of the meeting will be heard at the meeting in priority of others. This would be relevant where, for example, public question time will expire before all members of the public can be heard, or where multiple people want to ask questions on the same topic and raising the same issues. The local law is intended to extend courtesy to those who submit their questions ahead of the meeting. The provision does not address the time frame for responses to questions submitted in advance and taken on notice, which will be easily done where the questions are numerous and wide-ranging and would require some research to provide meaningful responses. The Local Government Act, 19 Local Government Regulations and local law governs council's meetings and does not extend to general correspondence. The Customer Service Charter is a guiding document and not a regulation. Responses to public questions are provided to the questioner at the same time they are available for the general public, as they form part of the public record of the council meeting. Question 3, the appointment of the presiding member, CEO Recruitment Advisory Committee. Until council has made a formal offer and the offer has been accepted, it remains uncertain whether the CEO Recruitment Advisory Committee may need to meet again. Including this item in the agenda ensures that all necessary governance steps are followed before the final decision is reached. Question 4. In regards to the CEO quarterly report, and particularly the pylon restoration appeal. The question is asked is a matter for council decision. Question 5, in regards to the Foreshore Master Plan and Car Park 2 revisioning. Element was appointed to assist the town in implementing the Car Park number 2 strategy in accordance with the town's purchasing policy in March 2024. The purchasing policy allows for the administration to engage contractors for services below the legislated tender threshold of $250,000. All payments to Element for this service are listed on our monthly statement of accounts payable. As part of standard governance practices, Council receives updates on significant projects in monthly confidential briefing sessions. Any decision to release this information for public review rests with Council.
Thank you, Mr Scott. I think they're the only public questions that we have.
Yeah.
I think they'll all be in the minutes. Thank you. Public statement time now. We've gone one way, we've gone back to questions, we're coming back now to public statements, and it's Sandra and Kim Grist, I presume just one of you will be speaking. And if you'd like to come to the podium, it is limited to 3 minutes, and there's a monitor.
It won't be that long. We live at 21 John Street, and it's a busy street. It's a vibrant part of Cottesloe that we live in, and I'd just like to support, and as our neighbours do that aren't here today, the music, the live music that's available on the beach. It adds to the lifestyle and general enjoyment for many, many people. Obviously, we live close to the beach. It doesn't seem to make any noise. So yeah, we'd like to just say we really support Cottesloe being able to have these live events and bring people, young people, my grandchildren, my children live in Cottesloe, and they love it, and I love being able to share that with them there on the beach and walk home and can hardly hear it at 21, which is only about halfway up the street. So we find there is no intrusion, and it's mainly an enjoyable occasion for a wide variety of people and age groups that we know. I don't think I need to say any more.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for giving me the time.
Thank you, Mr Grist and Mrs Grist. Okay, were there any other public statements? Then we're going to move on. Thank you. We have no apologies. Do we have staff apologies?
No staff apologies.
Approved leaves of absence. We have Councillor Wilinko and Councillor Bullbeck on approved leaves of absence for this meeting. And we have our Director of Regulatory
Development
Services
and Regulatory Services, Mr Steve Cleaver's on leave.
and Mr Paul Nielsen is taking Mr Cleaver's place for this evening's meeting. Do we have any applications for leaves of absence? That's good to hear. Everyone's back on board. Thank you. Declarations of interest in respect of items on the agenda this evening. Councillor Sadler.
This item is 10.1.2 and 13.1.2 regarding CEO recruitment. Because some of the applicants are known to me, but I can make my decision with impartiality.
Would you just mind repeating which two items?
It's 10.1. Sorry, no, I made a mistake there, apologise. 13.1.2, and it was also the
10.2.2.
It was 10.1.6, the appointed presiding member, but I think that probably I don't need to say that one because it's actually, it's too common, so it's just 13.1.2.
And you might also consider 10.2.2.
sorry, yes. So that's the one, so not 10.1.2, 10.2.2.
Yeah.
We've received committee minutes, and 13.1.2, that's that correction.
Thank you. Councillor Irvine,
Ditto. So for both.
would you mind just
10
saying
point-
it? Sorry.
Okay, 10.2.2 and 13.1.2. So the candidate is known to me, but I can act impartially and make my decision
Thank
fairly.
you. I just for future reference, the requirement is to say the nature of your interest and that you can act with impartiality, which is why I asked you to. Yeah, thanks. Yeah, thank you. Any more declarations of interest? Councillor Harkins?
Thank you, Mayor. 10.2.2 and 13.1.2, some of the applicants, it's an impartiality interest. Some of the applicants are known to me, but I'm able to make a decision impartially. Thank you.
Councillor Heath?
Yes, similarly, 10.2.2 and 13.1.2, I declare an impartiality interest because of one of the candidates was known to me, but I can make my decision on the merits.
Thank you. Any other declarations? I'll make my own declarations in respect of, and I get them right myself now, 10.2.2 and 13.1.2 applicants are known to me, but I can make my decision impartially. So that's an impartiality interest. Thank you.
Through the chair, Madam Mayor, I'd just like to, I'm not making a declaration of interest, but I'm just advising for the benefit of the public that when we come to item 13.1.2, the staff will be leaving the chambers other than Ms Pickleton, who has to remain to take minutes.
Thank you, Mr Scott. Confirmation of minutes, and that is, sorry, where are we? That is a long time ago. Do I have a mover that the minutes of the council meeting held on Tuesday 17th of December 2024 be confirmed as a true and accurate record? Councillor Sadler, do I have a seconder? Councillor Thomas, all in favour? That's unanimous, thank you. We have no petitions, presentations or deputations, so we'll go to the items that have been called up for debate this evening. Some of the items on the agenda have to be discussed in they have to be the subject of debate at least because they require an absolute majority. So can you help us there, please?
Through the chair, the items that will need to be debated, starting with item 10.1.3, that's due to it requiring an absolute majority decision. Item 10.1.4 has been called up. Item 10.1.5 requires an absolute majority decision. Item 10.1.6 requires an absolute majority decision. And items 13.1.1 and 13.1.2 are matters which are being discussed behind, or being recommended to be discussed behind closed doors.
Could I also call up 10.2.2 just for the sake of completeness on that item, or, the related item. So that means the following items are to be considered en bloc. I think everybody is familiar, for the benefit of people who might not know what that means, items that are considered en bloc will be taken to be passed in terms of the officer's recommendation, and that means council accepts and passes the officer's recommendation on those items. So those items are 10.1.1 monthly financial statements for 1 July 24 to 31st December 24, 13.1.3 acceptance of the 23-24 annual report.
Through the chair, that's been called up because it requires...
I beg your pardon.
I
Yes,
think
yes,
you're
yes.
referring
Okay.
to 10.1.2.
Yes, thank you. monthly financial statements for the period 1 July 24 to 31st January 25. Thank you. 10.1.7, CEO Quarterly Information Bulletin. 10.2.1, receipt of Audit Committee minutes. So that is the total of the en bloc. Do I have a mover that they be passed en bloc? Councillor Heath, seconded Councillor Thomas. All in favour? That's unanimous, thank you. So then we will go through in the order that they are in the agenda papers. So 10.1.3, acceptance of the 23-24 annual report, and that's on page 17. That's called up because of an absolute majority, is it?
And
And it was
Oh,
called up by
okay,
Councillor
yeah. Is someone proposing to move the officer's recommendation on page 19? Councillor Sadler, and
If I may, through the chair, point 2 refers to the War Memorial Hall. That's actually been booked out to the Electoral Commission until after the state election, which covers the 18th. So the location of the annual meeting of electors will have to be moved to the lesser hall.
so will you incorporate that?
I'm happy to
Councillor Sadler?
incorporate the location
Yeah.
of the Lesser Hall into the
Yeah, that's-
final resolution.
Yep. So do we have a seconder for the officer's recommendation? A seconder for the officer's recommendation, Councillor Mason. Councillor Sadler, do you want to speak to that?
Only to thank the staff for getting things out as quickly as possible after the final audit, and to thank them for having such a good report. So thank you very much, staff.
Councillor Mason?
Nothing to add.
Thank you. Now, Councillor Harkins' amendment.
Would you like me to read?
Yes, please.
I have an amendment that's been circulated. It's just a change, one adding A on page 99, the number of, and if you can insert the word council working group meetings. Ms Pilkington, have you got that? Attended by each council member during the financial year. And we've already discussed that the lesser hall will be substituted in there instead of War Memorial Hall, but that was in the substantive. If I have a seconder, I'll speak to it.
Can I just, for clarity, you're only amending paragraph 1 of the officer's recommendation, so we can ignore the rest,
Correct.
because that's
Just the-
already in the substantive
Correct,
motion.
just the
Yep.
red.
Yep. So Councillor Thomas. So Councillor, oh,
So he's
I
seconding it?
thought that Councillor Heath had seconded it.
No.
No.
Councillor Thomas.
I'm a bit confused.
Substantive.
Okay, yes, you're correct. I've got Councillor
no.
Sadler and Councillor Mason on the substantive, Councillor Harkins on the amendment. Seconder for the amendment, was that you, Councillor Thomas? Thank you. Yep.
Okay. As stated in the rationale, we have 4 committees currently, however 7 working groups, in-house working groups. I'm not counting external working groups. And I just think it will provide ratepayers with more accurate information in the annual report if it's recorded that elected members have attended working groups as well as committees. Historically, many of our working groups were committees, and they have been changed to working groups for various reasons, and this will probably explain historically why only the committees were included. So I've just taken that from the website, the working groups and the committees. They are not mentioned in the annual report. I'm just simply saying in that tally on page 99 that we include working groups and committees and council meetings, just for transparency. Thank you.
Councillor Thomas, did you want to speak to that? No. Okay. Did anyone want to speak against the amendment? I'll put that to the vote. All in favour? That's unanimous. Thank you. And then back to the substantive motion. Did anyone want to speak against the substantive motion as amended? I'll put that to the vote. All in favour? That's carried unanimously. Thank you. Thank you. And just bear with me. Right, item 10.1.4, event application Electric Island 2026 on page 20, with the officer's recommendation on page 24. Do I have a mover of the officer's recommendation on that item? Councillor Mason, and a seconder, Councillor Heath. Councillor Mason, would you like to speak to the substantive motion?
Yes, just to confirm my support for the administration's approval of this event. It is a wonderful addition to the Cottesloe calendar and look forward to by many local families of all ages. As we've heard, the average concert goer was 45 years of age, so I think it is well attended by all ages and it is a great addition, so I am supportive of the officer's recommendation.
Thank you. And Councillor Heath, did you want to speak to that?
Just to agree with Councillor Mason's comments, and also to say that we've left it open to put in additional conditions subject to the event happening this year. So I think as we've had this for a couple of years now, we're tightening up some areas and conditions and making sure we have access to the beach, and I think we're getting better and better at hosting this event. And if it's going to be 2 nights, I think we may as well have the 3 nights that the concert goers and residents can enjoy.
Thank you, Councillor Heath. Councillor Sadler?
I just wanted to move a very minor amendment.
Yes.
So I did circulate something earlier as an alternate motion, but I really only wanted to insert a very similar amendment, which is where it says that council approves the use of Cottesloe Beach for Electric Island event, including fireworks. I just wanted to add the words or similar laser/light display. And I had a second, I'll just speak briefly to why I'd like to sort of add those words.
Can you just tell me what I've got the which paragraph is it?
Paragraph 1, it says
Okay, including
and then it just says including fireworks, and then
Yeah.
it's just the words or similar
Yeah,
laser/light display.
Is there a seconder for that? Yeah, Councillor Heath. Councillor Sadler, do you want to speak to that?
Well, I'd like to open by just
I'd just like to open by thanking the administration for doing some research around the impact of fireworks, and it sounds like there's it's sort of open, probably okay. I'm just still minded that we're in a fish habitat protection area and that technology changes and improves. And it would be a real pity to constrain the event organisers to having fireworks if they went on balance. Do you know what? We'd rather have a laser or a light display, or it's more affordable for them to have a laser light display. I don't know any of that, but I reckon that if they could make it just as enjoyable and for residents and for the event and do something different, I'd be all for it. So that's why I just thought I'd open it up for them. At the moment, as it stands, they'd have to do fireworks and they couldn't do anything else. So that's my suggestion. So.
Thank you, Councillor Sadler. Councillor Heath, do you want to speak to that?
Nothing to add, thanks.
Okay, does anyone want to speak?
I have a question, sorry. I'm sorry because I'm just reading the alternate motion that I think has been amended. Can I ask a question about what I have in front of me?
You go through me.
Yes,
If I think I can anticipate your question, all that's being proposed now is a part of the alternative motion that was circulated. Only that part relating to the laser. So the amendment is in the introduction paragraph that council approves the use, etc., and it's the insertion of the words after including fireworks, the word or similar laser oblique light display. So it's only that part that is being moved.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct.
So the alternate motion that was alternative motion that was circulated is not being moved. It's just that amendment. Councillor Harkins.
Through the chair, seeing as you're trying to get everything incorporated, may I suggest you add drone as well? That seems to be more popular these days than anything. So I would, if you're putting everything, you might as well add drone.
Thank you. I'm happy to accept that.
Can
with
I
these, if the,
could I please just caution against adopting that without advice from the administration on the legalities of flying drones? I understand that we have a local law, and I just want to be certain that there aren't processes to go through before we can do that, and whether it would be wise to.
Through the chair, I believe under the local law, the beach local law, we can approve the use of drones at the beach. In that approval, we would need to ensure that all other statutory requirements are met in regards to licensing, etc., of the operator.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm assuming it's like fireworks, we don't approve it, it's the Department of Mines.
In the case of fireworks, yes, it's the Department of Mines that approves the use of fireworks.
if the seconder was happy to incorporate drones, I would be happy for it to be
So
put in.
that's
So
counts.
laser light drone display.
Councillor Heath, are you okay to incorporate that?
Yes.
Yeah, okay then. Now I'm a little, yes, Councillor Sadler, you've spoken. Councillor Heath, you didn't wish to speak to it, to add to it. Anyone wishing to speak against the amendment? Councillor Mason?
Yes, I don't think it's necessary. I think you're taking away from the fireworks, and we've already been advised by Mr. Nielsen that with consultation with fisheries, that the fireworks risk in our fish habitat and causing any light and noise was low, and that in depth the fireworks providers' sustainability practices, being environmentally friendly, low smoke, debris-less technology, 100% biodegradable and recyclable. I don't feel like we need to add. I think that, yeah, so I vote against the amendment.
Could I just suggest, I think there might have been a misunderstanding. I think my understanding is that it's intended that the organiser have the option of that it is just opening an option. I don't know if you took it to mean that or whether you meant that it would be the town that would have control over what was allowed.
I think it shows that the town is supportive of one way versus the other, so I don't think it needs to be added. I think if the event organiser wanted to do it, then they would propose it. I don't think we should be proposing it.
Okay. Sorry, I didn't know if there was a disconnect in understanding. So thank you, Councillor Mason. Does anyone else want to speak in favour of the motion? I will say I support it just on the basis that I think it just offers choice. I do think, there might be a little bit of nudge. That might not be a bad thing. If the organisers, I know that the fireworks were hugely popular, and I think the organisers will know that as well. But at least it gives them the option and food for thought, and they might do their own investigation to see what would be more enjoyable, what would be more affordable, and what would be more environmentally appropriate. So I do support putting it in just to raise it as an option. Does anyone else hear Councillor Thomas?
Yeah, I'll speak in support of it. From what I've heard, Fremantle's done a drone light show and they've actually incorporated aspects of traditional storytelling through that. So I thought there could be actual, opportunities like that to explore, which I think would be really good.
Might I suggest, I have spoken to this, but the inclusion of the words after or drones in brackets at the organiser's option, close brackets, to make it crystal clear that this is an option being offered to the organisers, it's not that we're saying we approve A, B or C and we'll tell them what they're to have. Councillor Sadler and Heath, would you be willing to incorporate that?
That's the intent, so absolutely.
Yes. So that's after the words light display or drones, in brackets, at the organiser's option, close brackets. Option. Or the applicants, I don't know, however we referred to the
Applicant, perhaps.
yeah. I don't think we've referred to,
It's not referred specifically in the recommendation.
well, I think maybe the applicants is the better word, actually. So is that all still okay? Thank you. I'm going to put the amended motion to the vote. All in favour of the amendment? That's then against Councillor Heath, Councillor Mason. So that's passed with all other than Councillor Mason. We go back to the substantive motion. Did anyone want to speak against the substantive motion? I will put the substantive motion to the vote. All in favour? That's passed unanimously. Thank you. Moving on to, let me just note for a minute. 10.1.5 Seaview Golf Club Redevelopment Advisory Committee on page 25. Now there was just a slight administrative change to paragraph 3 that Mr. Scott, can you just...
So just in paragraph 3, the wording at the moment says appoint Seaview Golf Club nominees Mr David Rogers as the committee member. Suggestion has been made and I'm happy to change it to a committee member. There is 2 committee members from the Seaview Golf Club, so just for clarity, making sure that people don't read the minutes thinking that only one member's been appointed.
So do I have a mover for the officer's recommendation with that minor, I think that was Councillor Harkins, and is that Councillor Sadler? Thank you. Councillor Harkins, do you want to speak to it?
No, I think it's self-explanatory.
Councillor Sadler?
No, thank you.
Anyone want to speak against the officer's recommendation? I'll put that to the vote. All in favour? That's unanimous. Thank you. Right, 10.1.6 on page 28, with the officer's recommendation on page 30. That will need to be moved with the insertion identifying who's being appointed. Councillor Harkins, do you...
Yes, I'd like to move that the officer's recommendation reads that Council by absolute majority appoint Mayor Young as the presiding member of the Chief Executive Officer Recruitment Advisory Committee.
Do we have a seconder for that? Councillor Irvine. Councillor Harkins, do you want to speak to that?
No, thank you.
Councillor Irvine?
No.
Thank you. Is there anyone who wants to speak against that motion? I'll put that to the vote. All in favour? That's unanimous. Thank you. Then we're going at a nice slow pace tonight. That's good. The next 10.2.2, receipt of the CEO Recruitment Committee.
Through the Chair, if Council's going to debate the minutes of this committee, it's probably best that the majority of staff leave the room.
Can I just ask, before we do that, does anyone want to speak for or against this item? Oh, okay, yes, yeah.
No,
This is
it's
the
still
minutes.
public.
Yep. Okay.
Through the Chair, the meeting hasn't been closed, so...
Yes, I understand, but I do understand. I just was wondering whether you needed to vacate.
recording.
Ms.
Dominaska?
But doesn't that laptop control the recording? Or you're
Yeah, she needs to leave it in.
I think you probably have, look, can I suggest it would be more appropriate at the close? Yeah. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So we're right, meeting is now closed.
Correct?
Staff are out.
Yes.
Okay.
So item 10.2.2, receipt of CEO Recruitment Committee meeting minutes with the officer's recommendation on page 35. Do I have a mover? Councillor Irvine. And a seconder? Councillor Heath. Councillor Irvine, did you want to speak?
No, I'll just foreshadow that I'll speak a little bit more about it if I can move the motion to accept the recommendation at the end in the closed meeting.
Okay.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Heath? Nothing to add. Okay, thank you. Does anyone want to speak against the motion? I'll put that to the vote. All in favour? That's passed unanimously. Thank you. So we can have our staff back. Jeffrey, did you get my text message? Yes. Thanks. Told you it'd be short. Okay. The following items the CEO has recommended be dealt with behind closed doors. Item 13.1.1, Walga Energy Sustainability and Renewable Project Stage 2 Electricity Sales Agreement on the basis that it contains information relating to a contract entered into or which may be entered into by the local government, and that relates to a matter to be discussed at the meeting. And item 13.1.2, CEO recruitment, that is recommended to be considered in a closed meeting as it contains information relating to a matter affecting an employee or employees, and also contains information relating to a contract which may be entered into by the local government. So do I have a mover that we go into a closed meeting? Councillor Thomas and Councillor Irvine, all in favour? Thank you. So I declare the meeting closed to the public. Thank you very much.
Yes. So can we confirm